Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct.
The events this morning are, in a sense, the beginning of the culmination of months and months and months of talk about this here in the UK, because what's happened this morning is that Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, newly installed in a temporary house on Sandringham estate, private residence of the King, which is why he can stay there with no particular issue. 6 police cars arrived this morning. The police statement says they've arrested a man and he is in police custody. As part of an investigation, we've arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk, which is where Sandringham is, on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. The addresses in Berkshire are thought to be related to Windsor, which is where the castle is and many other royal residents are, and it's where Andrew used to live at Royal Lodge. So that's the bare bones of what the police have given us this morning. Mm-hmm. The reality is it's part of an investigation into misconduct in public office, as you said, but we all know that a great deal of the talk and around Andrew, formerly Prince Andrew, has been around those allegations of a sexual nature made against him, which he denies.
And misconduct in a public office, I've heard it said this morning that it is an unusual offence. Can you just tell us more about it? Is it something that crops up often in your experience?
Yeah, well, it has actually. Yeah, oddly enough, in my experience as a journalist, it has. Misconduct in a public office can happen in any public office. So it could be how a local authority was run. It could be how a hospital trust is run. In the case of the Hillsborough story, which I've been very close to the whole time since it happened in 1989, one of the claims and allegations made constantly against the families was that there was clear misconduct in public office by people like police, health services in the aftermath and during the tragedy itself. And that was the kind of route through which they went. It's essentially about not upholding your end of the bargain as a public servant to a serious degree. And in Andrew's case, it alludes to his alleged activities and the sharing of government information, confidential information, with Jeffrey Epstein when he was a trade envoy. Now, that's serious enough. Just so people get a sense of how the royal family operates in this country, that allegation is serious enough for somebody like Lord Mandelson to be investigated by police, and therefore it was sure as hell serious enough for the former Prince Andrew to be investigated as well.
And this offence, it doesn't carry a maximum penalty. I know that's something that is trying to be sorted out at the moment because there is a bill going through. But this is limitless. The penalty that could occur if we get to that point, and we're a long way away from it this morning, of course. Yes, but it is interesting to note that there isn't a maximum penalty there. I mean, the focus is going to very quickly turn to Peter Mandelson now again, isn't it?
Inevitably. But before that happens, that investigation is ongoing as well. He hasn't yet been arrested, and police say they're investigating the allegations against him, again, for the same type of sharing of files with Epstein. And some of that is plain to see, by the way. The allegations are of misconduct in public office, but some of the sharing is plain to see in the email exchanges that have been dumped in the latest dump of Epstein files. I think here in the UK, the focus will be on what this means for the royal family and for the King in particular. I was checking my history this morning, Claire, and it was the last royal to be arrested in this formal way was King Charles I in the 1640s.
Extraordinary.
And he lost his head, I'm afraid.
I've been listening to your show as I do, and I enjoy it. Like, people are so engaged on this topic. I hear them phone in again and again and again to talk about the royal family.
And you know what it is? I think the way to explain it, because I have Irish connections, I have Irish family,
yes.
and my relatives in Ireland are like, oh, who gives a damn about the royal family? Not interested at all. And to be honest with you, most of my family are the same, but I've got a bit of a sort of journalistic interest in it. It fascinates me. The relationship between the nation and the royal family fascinates me. And I think that's part of it. It is an active sort of social and psychological relationship that people have with the monarchy. And what we expect from them, I think, sometimes is just unreality. We kind of don't want to know that they sometimes do bad things. We didn't want to know that Charles and Diana's marriage wasn't perfect. Lots of people just didn't want to know. I mean, plenty of people did, and the truth will eventually come out, and did. But I think there's part of that going on here as well, where people, the world is changing, attitudes are changing, media has changed. You can't dodge things the way you used to be able to dodge things. And I think how the royals manage this and how the monarchy in particular manages this, the institution of the monarchy, is going to be a fascinating thing to watch as well, because they've been very slow to get to where they got to in the last few months,
Yeah.
And as have the police, to be fair. Everybody's being dragged kicking and screaming to do anything about any of this.